Welcome to Cosmic Channels. Well, top of the morning to you, I should say. Little AM stream here. There was a couple people from the UK who said that they want to call in, but the normal Thursday night is never a good time for them to call in because it's in the middle of the night. So I kind of looked, shot a message, said I'd be going live in the morning one of these days to see if any persons from the UK or who normally don't have a chance to call can call in the morning. So the lines are open. 1-833-703-0424. You got a story, you've seen to UFO, you got a question for the show, you got a theory that's been on your mind, call the line 1-833-703-0424. Lines are always open. They're going to be open for an hour this morning. I'm going to throw it to some fan-read submissions that have probably already been seen, but that's okay. And I'll cut them as soon as I get a call. So lines are open. If you been sitting on a story that you wanted to hear for a while and you're like, God damn, I've never had time, now's your time. 1-833-703-0424. Let's go to a first fan submission. The lines are open, just so you know.
Hi, I'm Dan with Alien Theorist Theorizing, reading a fan submission here for Cosmic Channels. After hearing the Charlie Red Star episode on your other show, Alien Theorist Theorizing, I felt it only perfectly fitting to tell my story of what I would consider to be my own Charlie Red Star. A little background info first. Our family has a vacation home in Bridgeton, Maine. Side fact, Bridgeton happens to be where Stephen King based a lot of his novels. Well, that tracks. It is a good-sized house sitting on about 60 acres, which most of which being woods. It is a 2-story, older-looking farmhouse with a wraparound porch and a long dirt road driveway with old, hand-built from the late 1800s rock walls on both sides. There's a cemetery at the beginning of the driveway. What? This freaking spook. Was your house based like what Stephen King wrote his stories based on? Jeez. Okay. There's a cemetery at the beginning of the driveway, which isn't uncommon in that area. Not relevant to the story, but it makes it a bit creepy. I just want to paint a perfect picture. The closest neighbor's house is about 200 feet behind us, which is a vacation home to whoever owns it and is hardly ever there. The other closest homes are at the top of the street a quarter of a mile away. Other than the field, the rest of the surrounds are woods, and through a clearing in the tree line behind the house, you could see a mountain, Shawnee Peak. If you were to walk out the front door of the house and step off the porch and walk straight ahead 50 feet, you would run into our fire pit. This sits on a corner of the grass field measuring around 6 acres long. Okay, enough of the background picture, story time. It was a long weekend, and so a small group of 6 of us decided to go to our main house for what we call a brain reset. The group consisting of my cousin Steve, friend Dan, and his girlfriend Heidi. My girlfriend at the time, Bri, and myself. It really all begins Saturday night. Now, I had mentioned it was a long weekend, having Monday off, but we would need to leave early, as for Bri was a dog walker, watcher, groomer, and had to take care of some pooches Monday. Saturday was typical hanging by the lake and swimming, followed by taking our woods beater Jeep out for a rip around the trails we made, and playing board games in the house. The night was creeping up, so we did like any other night and got things ready to start a fire at the fire pit and do a last-minute look at how many beers were left for the night. Having the fire started, now dusk set in, and my cousin Steve noticed at the opposite corner of the field something a little strange. A red light. Just hovering in one spot, looking like a star, but brighter and seemingly moving. He tells us to watch it, and we oblige, trying to figure out if it's moving or if the trees are swaying and it's our eyes playing a trick on us. I only caught a quick glimpse of it before the tree line made it disappear. After it leaves our line of sight, it didn't seem to reappear. We continued to talk about it for some time until we drank enough to forget about it. The only odd thing that really stood out for me was no aircraft flying that low in the area due to the mountain directly behind us, except the local seaplane, but that wouldn't fly at night, and this light we saw didn't have any blinking radar lights, nor did we hear any noise. Fast forward to the next day. Having made the best of what we could, Sunday time came when we decided it would be best for us to leave and get a jump start on traffic. Driving home, I noticed a red light in the sky. It seemed to be the same light we saw the previous night. It appeared a bit ahead of us above the tree line and slightly to my left. It almost looked as if staring into a plane's headlights, but bright red. And again, no radar lights or noise. I tried to point it out to Bree sitting next to me, but the trees happened to be my worst enemy, and a cluster of trees blocked out the light. I knew the road well enough that coming up was the causeway, an opening where they keep a ferry and the seaplane docked up alongside many shops. I knew I would get a good view of whatever it was. At this point, I was thinking it was Mars, close to Earth and reflecting the sun, or possibly a Chinese lantern. To my disappointment, the causeway did not show whatever I saw. However, continuing the drive a few traffic lights later, I see it again, this time on my right side. How could it have switched sides if it was Mars? The road we had just driven down was almost perfectly straight. I instantly get Bree to look at it, and she does see it this time, not getting the best view, and then guess what? More goddamn trees. It is Maine. There are a lot of trees in Maine. I would believe it. Lucky for me, I've driven this road countless times and know that about a half mile up the road is a field on both sides of us, enough to get a good open sky view. And it didn't disappear this time. There it was. I told Bree I want a picture of whatever it is. Maybe I can zoom in and see what we were looking at. I pull the truck off to the side of the road and throw on the hazards and jump out. She does the same. I walk around to the front of my truck, never breaking eye contact with the object in the sky. As I'm staring at it, I reach in my pocket to get my phone. As I'm pulling my phone out, that thing takes off from a complete standstill, looking like a shooting star, only different. It blinked out. There's no other way to describe it. It left a trail like a shooting star, but red, and toward the end of the trail just blinked and it was gone. I don't know what we saw. I immediately called my cousin and told him to look at the sky, again telling him my story. This is not my only time seeing this Charlie Red Star, but definitely more memorable one. Anyways, I hope you like my story. I have some more, and we'll be sure to write them in. Sorry for it being a bit long, but once I start writing, I can't stop, and we hope you don't. Love the show and everything you guys do. You guys make my workday tolerable. Cheers, everyone. Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. I'm Dan for Alien Theorist Theorizing, and I'm happy to read your fan submissions for Cosmic Channels. If you have a story and you're maybe a little bit too nervous or a little shy to read it out on air, you can go ahead and send it to CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com, and you never know who's going to read it on air. Thanks.
And just like that story from Dan, people that say it's too long. Well, someone wrote a long, detailed story. What do you want Dan to do? Paraphrase it? Now, the reason I opened the lines up, this is not Thursday. Don't worry. You haven't time traveled. It is, in fact, Sunday morning. I received 2 emails. I'm not going to name names, but they were like, I have a story, but it's too late. And I said, well, if I open the lines Sunday morning, my time, which would be like in the evening Sunday, your time, would that work? And they were like, yeah. Where are you? Huh? Where are you? I'm just hoping to get 1 or 2 calls. This is likely going to be tagged on to the season finale if anyone calls. I'm not going to use any of this really for the show. Just kind of hanging out, having lines open for anyone that calls that, is in a different hemisphere or time zone that can't normally call on a Thursday because it's too late or whatever. No, it's not pre-recorded, Jonathan Torres. I'm here. The stories that I have while I'm doing work, because as I'm waiting for a call and in between interacting with chat and stuff, I've got a couple of the old pre-recordeds loaded. Like I said, this Thursday we're going to be doing the lines will be open the same time, but the show is you're gonna get a peek behind the curtains, because we're gonna be testing everything out for the season 8 premiere, which is going to be March 14th. Little bit of a new layout, some upgraded music. You might even see me in 4K. Who knows if the camera will come in here in time. Little upgrades to the show. So hopefully you guys appreciate that, and we can keep growing this thing. So far, just wildly disappointed in the few people from the UK that say they listen to the show that are not calling in. The lines are open. To be honest, I don't even know if the lines are working, because we haven't got that first caller, so I could just be sitting here, no idea what's going on. But that's okay. I'm going to go to another pre-recorded story. I think this one was read on. I don't know if it's going to be Andrew this time. It's just, honestly, I just throw it up and it just pops up. But if you got a story, call in 1-833-703-0424. Get how you need to make your ads. Yeah, you know what? No, I could probably use 2 more. So if you got a story, call in. If you got a story, you can call in. Or if you want to be part of the ad, I haven't put it together yet. You can be a part of the ad. I need probably 2 or 3 more people. Basically, we'll call in if you want to be the ad, and I'll walk you through it. The number is 1-833-703-0424. It never changes. But I'm going to go to another fan-read story, so until we get a call, enjoy this story.
Hey guys, my name's Andrew from ATT. Today I'm going to be reading some fan submissions for Cosmic Channels. The Haunting of Westridge. So let me start off by saying, hey, my name is Brittany. I recently discovered your podcast and I love it. I listen to a lot of other ones, but your guys' is the best. Oh, thanks, Brittany. Appreciate the love. Right, so I've only told the story of the haunted house to my close friends. It's something that just still freaks me out to this day to think about. I lived in the house for 3 years, and it was hands down the worst 3 years of my life. Let it be known that my family, up till now, didn't believe in ghosts. My aunt and I were hugely into them, and I've played Ouija boards. It's your first mistake. I've seen shit my whole life. I've heard shit my whole life. But my parents are like, hey, it's all in your head, so fuck it. Who am I to argue? The only one who's ever believed me is my aunt. The summer before my 10th grade year, we had to move. My parents rented a house. The person who had owned it decided to stop paying the mortgage on it, so we had to get out fast. My parents looked at a few places, but most were too small. At this point, my mom, dad, brother, me, my aunt, uncle, and their 4 children. That's 10 people. About 8 too many for me. So I go with them one day, and they say they see a rent sign. We pull up to this older farmhouse, and like I said, I've seen stuff, I've heard stuff, and I just kind of have this sixth sense about me, I guess. So I'm like, nope, I'm not going in there. I get that. I've had that feeling many times in my life. My mom's like, come on, it's fine. I was like, hard pass. The very aura of the house just felt off. Like, have you ever been somewhere and you have a feeling in the back of your mind, this place had bad juju? Well, that was this place for me. My parents chalk it up to me being a teenager and not wanting to move. About 30 minutes later, they come out and say, yep, this is the place. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. The one place, I'm like, hey, maybe let's not. Fast forward, we moved in. The place is average sized. It has a sunroom, kitchen, dining room, living room on the first floor. Then you go up a flight of steps. About 24 of them, and you have small hallways and 4 doors. 3 are bedrooms and 1 is a bathroom. Naturally, my brother is older and he gets the bigger room, which we discover has a big door in it that leads to the attic. Ooh. It's never good. It's your standard attic. Dusty, pretty big, not finished. Oh, I wonder, does it have those stairs that pop down out of the little entry? We discussed this in another case file. So naturally, we use it as storage. Oh, and there was a basement. The creepiest basement I have ever been in my whole life. Not finished, all concrete. It's like underground, obviously. I think most basements are. But there are 2 doorways in it. One has a wood ceiling. You could see through parts of the wood, and there is a concrete stairs that probably go straight to the pit of hell. That makes sense. That tracks. And the other door just leads to nothing. It's like a small cubby space that goes a foot in, and it's all concrete. The rest of the basement is dimly lit and covered in spiderwebs. We mean a fucking door to nowhere? Like, ooh. I mean, for your sake, I hope that door goes to fucking Narnia. Night 1. This place has no central air, so we need to put units in all the windows. It's hotter than hell outside. It's like late June, almost July at this point. So we throw an AC unit in the living room, and me and my cousins are going to sleep there. We had been moving all day, so it didn't take long for us to fall asleep. Well, I wake up around 3 a.m. It's always 3 a.m. The TV's on. There is a light on in the kitchen. The one that hangs over the stove, and I'm like, cool, we're fine. My cousins are scattered across the ground, and I'm on the couch. I'm pretty much just waiting to fall back asleep, but for some reason my eyes keep drifting to the kitchen. I feel really uneasy, but I try to brush it off. Up until our pantry closet door opens so slowly. At this point, I'm frozen. I feel that icy cold fear rushing all over me, so I wake my cousins up. I'm like, hey, is that door open? She's like, yep. I said, well, it just opened by itself. I watched it with my own 2 eyes. She's still waking up, so she's kind of like, what? And then it starts closing slowly. To which we were both sort of like, holy fuck. And I said, on the count of 1, we run. Okay, let's try that again. And then it starts closing slowly. To which we were both like, holy fuck. And I said, on the count of 3, we run for my room. Pirate, Brittany? For my room. 1, 2, and I ran. Because if the demon of spawn is going to get someone, it ain't going to be me. I get that. I appreciate that. I left her. I'm not sorry. We make it to my room, and it's hot. Even for being at nighttime. At this point, I open all the windows and I say, we have 2 options. We go back down there and try to sleep, which for me was a big old nope. Or we stay up here, block the door, and hopefully don't die from heat stroke. We chose heat stroke. The next day, my cousin comes up to me and is like, why did you guys sleep upstairs? So I tell her. She got really offended that we left her down there with the demon, but we all laughed it off. I'll pretty much stop here, and if you're interested in the rest, let me know. Throughout the 3 years, things got worse. It started with doors, then there was whispers, feeling like you're being watched. Seeing full body apparitions, recording and hearing little girls I would see all the time. Ooh. Things would fly off the counter, and then there is the day I went to the basement. And to this day, I can't even comprehend what actually happened. The house was for sure haunted, but I can't help but wonder if it was as cheesy as it sounds, and do I hate saying it, a portal for demons. I also have a story about an abandoned house that me and my mom went to, where I felt so creeped out. We started hearing someone whistling. I went downstairs to see if someone had come. I started calling for my mom, but she wouldn't answer. So, after a few minutes, I went upstairs, and she had been calling me the whole time too. But neither of us heard each other. The place later came back to haunt me. Anyways, I'd love to dive deeper into my stories if you're interested, but obviously typing all of it takes a few hours. And I don't want to type it all and not have you interested. Thanks, Brittany. Well, first of all, Brittany, it's fucking terrifying. We're extremely interested. But we need the stories about these full body apparitions and all this other shit that you You just touch on the craziest parts. We need that's the stuff we're here for. That's the stuff we need. So you either, here's your opportunity, because you know what? You can call in. I mean, but if you're a little bit too chicken, you seem like you've been through some shit, though. You seem like you're tough. And if you can live through this kind of stuff, you can definitely handle calling into the live show and giving your stories on air. But if you are too chicken, and anybody else listen to this, if you're too chicken, don't want to do it, you can always email us at CosmicChannels@gmail.com. And just tag it.
It's actually CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, fucking motherfucker. So what do I got to do then? Redo it?
No, just leave. I'll leave this in as well.
So it's CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, send your fan submissions in. But I'm telling you, this is your time to shine, to be famous, to get on the air and, tell your story to like the tens of people who listen. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Woo! Little story there by Andrew. I actually have no idea where these stories are. I just have it randomly pop up. I know I can see the next one though, but someone called and then as I answered, immediately hung up. So I think the lines are working. Again, I'm just I wasn't expecting too many calls. I was just opening the line for anyone who's in a different time zone that usually struggles to make Thursday night. So, hoping to get one call of it that I can add to the season finale of season 7 that'll come out in 2 weeks time. 1-833-703-0424. The lines are open. So if you if you want to if you got a story, oh, look at this. Who's taking me up on this? Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Dill, your acquaintance from Lacrosse, Kelowna.
Hey, what's going on, nephew Dill? How's it going?
I would say friend, but I think when we played, you never heard me say a word. So.
Well, I think you said some words. I think you said hello.
Oh, I was polite. Yeah.
No, I also coach you. I've heard you talk. You're normally a man of few words. How's it going?
Yeah, no. The brain injury unlocked my tongue.
Yeah. Those. Do you want to share that experience?
Yeah, I do got a story.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it. What do you got for us?
So it was in the evil place of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, there was a fireworks show. Watching that.
Hello?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I had the live in the background and got all messy there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're watching the fireworks.
Yeah.
And I look up right above me, and there's a black. It's like a disc, up, and like it's probably the height of like you ever seen the helicopter when it's at their max level,
Yeah, like way up there. Yeah.
Yeah, like Apache or whatever. It's probably like 2 of those, or like 1.5. I don't know. It's not too far up, but it's high enough. Anyways, it's just doing a big circle for a while, like at what would be a distance, at way too quick of a speed for any thing we have or know of, right? And then it just zips off, and then it's probably like 10 seconds later, 4 like Apache helicopters zip off that same direction.
Yeah, but you don't fuck with Disney.
No, yeah.
Now, any lights to this object? Just nothing?
No, just straight black.
Because in my head, I was like maybe a drone or something filming, but if there was no lights on it, like.
Yeah, no.
That's interesting.
No lights, straight, just black. And from the distance it was and the size, right, it too big for a drone.
Now.
Yeah.
Now, what year? When was this?
This is probably like 20. No, fuck. This is probably like 2010 or something like that.
2010. What? So yeah. So, I mean, fucking. What is that? 14 years ago.
Yeah.
It's. Anyone else see it with you? Were you guys kind of pointing it out? Like, what is that thing?
No, I wish, but yeah, it was. I looked up, saw it, sorry, my memory. Maybe I pointed out to one person and they just didn't care or whatever, but or not, I don't know, I forget. But it happened quickly. It was doing the big circles, moving quite quickly, and then zipped off. I probably saw it for like 5 seconds, and then zipped off. 10 seconds goes by, or probably not 10 seconds. Sorry, that's exaggeration. A minute though, and helicopters going the same direction.
And how many
And, like,
helicopters?
4 of them.
And obviously, like loud noise, like definitely helicopter.
Yeah, and like military ones, not just like some news one you see or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it would make sense that they obviously pick something up and, scramble. Because, like, they must have already picked this thing up, as if I would imagine, because it's like scrambling helicopters is probably not the fastest thing, which means they were probably already en route.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? And then they're like, oh, shit, it's over Disneyland.
Yeah.
Double
Yeah,
speed up.
How fast that thing moved across the sky and how quick the helicopters move is much different.
Wild.
So they had to be heading towards it already.
Yeah, so they must have picked something up on radar. Like we know, like, in since early 2000s they've been picking these things up on radar. So perhaps that's what it was, and they were already scrambling, and then just happened to want to pop into the happiest place on earth. Is this California Disneyland or like Florida?
Yeah, LA. Yeah.
LA one. So yeah, and I don't know if was it heading towards the water? Do you know, or you just did you know the direction?
No, inland, I think even. But yeah, I don't know. I'm fucking dumb.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I get into Disneyland and I do one spin, I'm like, I don't know which way is northeast or south. So it's like, I would know either, especially 14 years ago. It's cool. It's stuck with you though, eh? Seeing that?
Yeah, I've always remembered it. Like, that was crazy. That's not normal.
Yeah. It's weird when people have these sightings and they just kind of stick with you. If you're like, man, you're like, fuck, I wish I remembered what this thing was, or I wish at the time I would have, been more alert to it, or because a lot of these, people describe these things. It's like, it's almost like a disbelief at first. You're like, oh, what is that? That's weird. And then afterwards, you're like, that was goddamn weird.
Yeah. Because you're not expecting to see something that you kind of don't believe, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. Dill, thank you for calling in. Did you call in earlier and then hang up on me instantly?
No,
no,
I don't think so. No.
So someone else is waiting in the wings too, because I was like, someone called.
Those fucking bloody blokes. No one's even showing up.
That's okay. I thought I'd open the lines to see if I could. Just to say, I said I would, so here I am. I'm doing it.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get one or two. If not, and I'll try again in a couple more months as the show continues to grow, and maybe Sunday mornings will be popping off. A couple months from now, but
although that's during church.
Well, for
Some
us,
people go to church.
Yeah, for us, but they're out of church in the UK already. How long does church go?
Okay.
It doesn't go to. It's like
hour and a half.
Yeah, it's like 5:30 there now, p.m. Right? So it's like they're out of church,
true.
right? I mean, maybe I should have gone a little later. I don't know. Maybe I'll next week or maybe next month I'll try 10 a.m. A little easier on me.
It'll be good. 5. There's no church. I was just joshing around, as the kids say.
Yeah. Hey, Dill, thank you for calling in, and hope you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah, no problem. You as well. Nice to talk to you again.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Yeah. See you. Cheers.
Bye. All right. Listen. Yeah. Look. Be like Dill. Be like Dill. I've known Dylan forever. He was I know his family. I grew up playing lacrosse with him and his brothers. He was always a quiet guy. And then he had a car accident, and the most talkative guy I've ever met now. Love you, Dill. If you got a story, 1-833-703-0424. I think I was prepping. I was just about to throw this one. I'm going to throw you guys to a story that I cannot use. Unfortunately, I cannot use this fan-read submission, but I'll play it for you guys now, but I can't use it on any show. And the reason I can't use it on any show is because the person who wrote in the show, and in their credit, they wrote in the show probably 3 years ago. And I sent this to someone to read for the show. And then what happened, the week that I had this prepped, ready to go, that caller called back in the show. 3 years after they wrote in, they called in to tell their story. The same week I was going to play this fan-read submission. Bandito, I promise I'm going to send you another story to read here soon. But in the meantime, here's the story that never made the show.
What's up, fellow channelers? It's the one and only Bandito Frito, aka your Theorite Historian. Here's a little ditty from our pal Chris McCormick, possibly of the Cormick Candy Banana fortune. We're not sure. All right. This story took place about 2 years ago in Charleston, South Carolina, where I still currently reside. A little context. My girlfriend was going to school at the College of Charleston and living in her parents' summer home in Charleston. Her parents, siblings, lived in Pennsylvania as her father had a medical practice there. I paid rent in one of my buddy's houses, but basically lived with her in her parents' Charleston home. The house is in downtown Charleston and has a historical plaque on the front of it saying it was built in 1760. So it's seen some shit. It's old. I know when they redid the kitchen and pulled up the floor, the contractor said the boards underneath had been there since George Washington was president. Dan would throw in here, that's from 1789 to 1797. So that's old. I'm not a big believer in ghosts, but a lot of weird stuff happened that I couldn't explain while we lived there. The house is 3 stories. We were forced to use the guest bedroom on the second floor for a while because the master bedroom bathroom was being redone. The guest bathroom shower backs right up to the stairs. We were showering together, no funny business. And we heard what sounded like someone wearing heavy boots running from the 3rd floor all the way down to the 1st floor. Neither of us mistook this for anything else, and we were like, is there someone in the house? What the fuck? I jumped out, snatched a towel, hoping not to have to fight a dude naked. But as Braden said, naked guys win fights, so no harm. I checked every lock, window, door, closet, and even under the beds. I didn't find anything. Needless to say, we stayed at my buddy's house that night. We never heard that running sound again, but sometimes door handles would jiggle as if someone was trying to open different doors in the house. TVs would turn on for no apparent reason, but I just chalked that up to the electronics doing weird shit. You know, old house, old wiring? Maybe? It always felt very creepy to me to be in that house when I was alone, and my girlfriend never wanted to be there alone. Since this all went down, we now have our own place. It was built 3 years ago and is still certified ghost-free. Her dad sold his practice, and now her parents live in that Charleston house full-time. It's their problem now. Oh well. Hold on. We've got follow-ups. I've got follow-ups. Have you talked to the parents about any of this or anything that you saw or heard? Did your girlfriend see any of this kind of stuff or hear any of this kind of stuff growing up in that summer home? Or was this like a newer summer home purchase for them? We've got these follow-up questions here, guy. Love your show, guys. Been listening for years now. I've turned my brother and a bunch of buddies onto it. I sport your merch all the time. People will be like, hey, what's that logo mean? And I say, if you don't know, then it's probably not for you. And then I tell them, and then they're like, I knew this dude was crazy. We all are. I love you guys. Hope to hear you read this sometime soon. I unfortunately probably won't hear it live being on the East Coast now. Oh well, all good. Your favorite theorite, formerly a prolapser, Chris McCormick. Okay, well, that is a story. Yeah, and again, we have follow-up questions, my dude. You should get back in touch with us. Call in, write in, let us know if there were, if she grew up there, if there were things heard or seen, if her parents are now experiencing anything, hearing anything, seeing anything. Have they done any more remodeling to the house? It's maybe stirred up spirits or something. Again, questions, follow up, let us know. It'd be awesome. But hey, if you, fellow channeler, don't feel comfortable calling in to Cosmic Channels, you can do what Chris did here and write your story in to CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com. Now, that's Cosmic Channels with an S, podcast@gmail.com. You never know who will end up reading your story. All right. Later, guys.
Woo! I can never use that because the caller did call in with their story. So, Bandito, I'll get you another story. Thank you for reading that in. If you're interested, if you're watching the show this morning, as I'm waiting for anyone from the UK to call or anyone from another hemisphere to call this morning, maybe I did a little too early. But the two people that messaged me, I said this is the time, and they said, "Yep, that's the time they wanted to call." Liars. But if you want to read a fan-read submission, I have like 60 stories in the bank. And if you're interested in being someone who reads one of those stories on air, just like you saw Bandito do there, you got a podcast that you want to promote, you got an online story you want to promote, shoot me an email, CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com. I'll send you a fan-read submission to read, and then I'll plug you in the show, and you can have your whatever ad you want to run above. You can have full creative range of your background that you want if you want to promote a store or you want a podcast promoted similarly to what I had Agent Anderson do a couple weeks ago. Where was he? This one here. We're gonna go to him next. But if there's a call, I will go. Calls always take priority, especially when I'm trying to get one UK call on for the for the season finale, so I can let more people from the UK know that once in a while we open the lines for people over there that's easier to call. Oh, and just like that, we got a call on the line. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Bandito.
Hey, Bandito, you sound absolutely terrible.
Are you still doing it? Because my thing fucked up.
You're not reading any stories.
No, not right now. A good week before my voice comes back. This is all from coughing. Ridiculous.
Nice. Hopefully you're feeling better.
Yeah, I feel fine now. It's just this stupid voice.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I have just a suggestion for our Discord groups that if anybody else is maybe in a different Discord group, they should post your information and maybe try to source stories that way.
Yeah.
People that we maybe don't normally talk to.
Yeah, post my ASL. Let everyone know where I'm at, where they can contact me.
Exactly. So I just wanted to give a suggestion as to.
I like it.
It's maybe a way we can try to drum up more calls and stuff, especially on these Sunday ones when people maybe weren't expecting it.
Well, I'm not. What I was going to do is I was trying to. I had two people lined up. That's why I did this week, and I was like, okay, I'll announce it. I got 2 calls. That's all I'm hoping for. So I was hoping to get some people with some real thick posh accents or Scousers telling a story, and then I could say, hey, for those UK people, I open the channels, one Sunday a month. But until I get that call, goddamn, can't count on those Brits to do anything. So. Well,
if I start to feel better, I'll call back and I'll use an accent.
Oh, perfect.
And be like. Yeah, we'll pretend we're from the UK or Australia or something about that.
Yeah, well, Australia, someone from Australia told me when they called, they're like, "No, man, this is a perfect time. It's like middle afternoon on a Friday for us. It's not hard to call at all." So I call bullshit on anyone from
Australia. In between the area time.
Yeah, so it's like the UK, the Europe, where it's in the middle of the night. For them are way too early in the morning. So that's what we're going to go on. Bandito, go have some Neocitrin or something, and we'll see if we can get you on the ad before I finish it up. But
yeah, no worries. I was like I said, it was going to be up to you, and I didn't. It comes and goes, but right now it's not great. So
yeah, I probably wouldn't use you right now.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Lines are open. 1-833 703 04. Oh, who's this? Who's calling now? Cosmic Channels. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up? How's it going? My name's Caesar.
Hey, Caesar. I can hear the live stream in the background. Can you hit a pause on that?
Pausing it now.
Beautiful. Caesar, where are you calling
What's up,
from?
brother? Hey, I'm calling from SoCal. The story takes place actually right in between Southern California and the Arizona border. I'm gonna say about an hour before hitting Lake Havasu or the Parker Strip. I'm actually on the maps right now trying to find exactly where it happened. It was, I'm going to say 10 minutes before a certain checkpoint on the 10 freeway around the Desert Center Drive. For a while I've been trying to find exactly where this occurred on my maps. My girlfriend always tells me, yeah, it happened on the 10. It happened about an hour before getting to Lake Havasu. So I'm always trying to find it. It's really hard to find it, but let's just get to the story.
All right.
All right, so it was probably around midnight. We were on our way to her grandma's house in Lake Havasu, Arizona. And so we were driving, and there was probably two cars behind me. One was about, I'm going to say a mile behind me. I could see his headlights, and the other one was a little right behind that one. But because it was like a dark desert road, we were so far ahead, yet I could still see their headlights behind me. We were kind of like in the trance, you know what happens when you're driving at night and the lines are passing you on both sides.
Yeah, you go into that just automaton.
Exactly, yeah. So we helped run a little bar off the river, off the Colorado River. It was a pizza place first, and then it turned into a bar. They called it right now I'm blanking on the name, but it was like a little cantina. Anywho, we would go every summer. This was the first time we went, and we drove by ourselves at night, at midnight. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but basically we were on the 10 driving towards Arizona, and just in the middle of the desert. It was after Chirrocco Summit. I'm sure people from California that travel to Arizona will know. You have to pass the Chirrocco Summit in order to get to Arizona and Phoenix, etc. But anywho, I have a Nissan Juke, so I have a moonroof, sunroof, whatever you want to call it, and I had it open. And we were driving, and it looked like there was a street light like a few miles ahead of us down the road. I've never told this story, so I'm trying to get it, like, put all the pieces together.
No, it's all good. I'm captivated.
Okay, so, and this, I mean, believe me or don't, but like weird shit like this happens. It used to happen a lot more. I don't know if it was because of like psychedelic use or what have you, but since then, like, everything like has toned down. I'm 30 now, and I've like, I have a family. I'm kind of trying to relax a lot more, so no more psychedelic use.
Yeah.
Leave it at that. Anywho, we were driving, and it looked like a street light on the road. So I ignored it, chose to ignore it. My girlfriend was dozing off, but she was still awake. So I'm thinking to myself, how funny would it be if I see something, because it's so dark, there's nobody around. Nobody would believe me, but it doesn't even matter because there's nobody around, so who would I tell? So anyway, I'm driving, and with that thought in my head, that's when I kind of spot this light, roughly, I'm going to say about a quarter of a mile ahead. And so I'm going about 70, 80. And so I'm reaching this light faster than, anticipated. But the thought stays in my head, like, how funny would it be if I see something, right?
Yeah.
So this light was on the road, and it feels like it stayed there waiting for me to pass, because as I passed it, I looked through the moonroof, and I see what it is, right? And I'm about to explain to you what it was. So this was like an oval-shaped, it looked like a floating, like, mass of like see-through jello.
Oh, weird.
So I was able to see the stars through it, but it was emitting like a midnight bluish light from it from afar. So I was wondering, like, I would think like I would get to it. I would get to the point under it, look through my moonroof, and it would be bright. But no, it was translucent. It was like translucent, clear, like almost like jello. And I didn't see anybody or anything on the inside, but this thing was definitely moving like slow through the desert, and I happened to pass right under it as it was passing through the road, like above the road, basically. Like we made an X. Does that make sense? Like I passed under it as it passed the road, so I was able to look up through my moonroof, and I saw that, and I woke her up. She was already kind of awake, so I tapped her with my elbow, and I was like, "Did you see that?" And she was like, "I saw something." And then she turned back, and we both kind of watched it as it just slowly just kept passing by, like kind of going more towards the inner desert area. But we kept driving, and we were like kind of tripping out. There was nobody around us except for that one car behind us about a mile away. After we passed this, whatever it was, ball of energy or some shit, basically this like white Suburban that was behind us sped up, and then they got to like, they were behind us, and it was like the distance of like 2 cars, but there's no reason to be that close to us, especially if we're in the desert at midnight, you know. But I figured I attributed to they probably saw something too, and they didn't want to be like alone.
Yeah, they're like, holy shit.
So they were right next to us for like the next 30 minutes. And because it was a white Suburban, I was like, dude, hopefully this is not like a government vehicle and they're like going to fuck with us because we saw something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, there's the legendary Area 51, like white Jeeps, Jeep Grand Cherokees or whatever they drive out there. So, you know, maybe.
I didn't even know about that. I remember the type of car it was, because it wasn't new enough to be like a government car that I thought, but it was definitely a white Suburban, which I know that like, you know, why wouldn't you use that? Even if it was like an earlier 2000 model.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you use that just to, you know, do whatever you got to do out in the desert at midnight? You know? But no, we got to the checkpoint where normally if you're coming from the Arizona side, they would stop you and ask you if you have fruits or vegetables or seeds or anything. But we were coming from the California side, crossing into Arizona. There was nobody there. It was like 1 a.m. So we got to the stop, and we passed, and the white Suburban turned into the little rest area. They parked right in front of where the bathroom would be, but nobody came out. So I was at the stop, waited about 10 seconds, 15 seconds just to watch the car, like see if anybody came out, a family maybe. But no, they parked. We stayed at the stop. I looked. And then I drove away. I didn't want it to be too like obvious that I was like trying to see like what was going on. So I just drove away, and nobody ever came out of the white truck for the 15 seconds that I was there kind of staring at them. So
weird.
Doors never opened, you know.
But maybe they were doing the same thing as you. Like maybe they, you know, on the other hand, like let's say that maybe they saw this thing and they're just sitting there like, what the hell was that? Like they're now in a kind of a place with some lights. They feel a little more safe to just kind of sit for a second and be like, what did I see? Right?
Yeah, but because I was already at that point, I had already like, well, I got into like David Greer, Alan Greer, the doctor.
Yeah.
At that time, and I remember listening to a lot of his, you know, meditation stuff, and like how you can call like shit to see it.
Yeah.
As like up in the sky, and I don't want to sound crazy, but like prior to that, maybe like 4 or 5 times I had like legit tried to do that with people around me, and we all saw stuff up in the sky.
The CE5 stuff, I know tons of people that say they do that, and they're like, yeah, we'll see lights, we'll see weird stuff.
You just have to ask for it, look up, and be attentive, and you will see something. And a lot of people don't. They
And
don't want to believe.
I will make this one argument. I make it to the people that use CE5, and I'll be open and upfront. I've never done it myself, but I've seen weird stuff just going and with the intent of sitting out for hours to try to see weird stuff, and you see it. Like, so I'm a big proponent of, like, I know people have had experiences where they feel that, like, they're like, I feel like this thing, I had some sort of conscious effect on it, or, you know, there was some sort of connection. And I'm not saying that's not the case, but I'm also saying that if you go sit out in an open field and just sit with the intent of looking for these things, you don't have to buy the CE5 app from Dr. Greer. You just sit out there, and there will be, you know, you'll see lights, you'll see some shooting stars, and then eventually you're gonna go, all right, what was that? You see something move, does a weird turn, you know, without fail.
Yeah.
You give it a couple hours. So there's weird shit out there. So it's like, back to your thing though, like this gel thing, like part of me what comes to my mind is I'm always trying to thinking of, like, okay, is there any kind of, like, can we ground this on Earth or anything? Could it be anything? And, like, right away my brain was kind of going to, like, maybe, like, is there a chance that maybe you had, like, as everyone wants to add aliens, but I'm like, this would be also cool. Like, maybe you're like saw some ball lightning in that, like, at that area. Like, did you ever think of that? Or did that come to your mind?
Yeah. I want to say the first time I heard of the term ball lightning was probably on the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli guy.
Yeah.
And it was like shortly after I had seen what I saw. And so I kind of, like, I would always kind of come back to that. Like, it wasn't abnormal. It was moving very slowly. It wasn't trying to hide or get away from us. It didn't seem intelligent, but I could be wrong. I mean, the fact that I passed right under it as it passed right above the road, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, we made we met in the center of the earth. Like, that will always stick with me. Like, why exactly there? Why did it not pass ahead of me, the road, and then, you know, why didn't I pass it and kind of look to the right and see it towards my right? Like, but instead, it felt like it knew that I had just opened my moonroof. I had just turned on my fog lights. I was, like, anticipating something running across the road or seeing something, and sure enough, like 5 seconds within that thought, it's kind of when I spotted.
It's so weird, man. It's such a unique description.
And that's why I wanted to call you first before I even, like, try to write it down or try to explain it or try to get, like, coordinates. I was like, you know, I just got to get it out. And my buddy Mikey actually put me on to this pod like 2 years ago.
Oh, right on.
I've been listening, and I was finally like, oh, I'm just gonna call. Man, they seem like you know, like, good people. Like, I would probably be friends with them outside of the pod. You know what I mean? So I was like, why not?
Right on, man. Thank you for calling in and sharing that. I mean, it's such a unique, like, description of that, like, that jello. Like, you paint such a good picture. I can exactly picture in my head, and in my head, I kind of picture like a plasma almost.
I know you can, and I know it has everything to do with how burnt that image is into my brain. The way I describe it, it never, the details never change. It's always the same.
Yeah.
It's always the same. But when you say ball lightning, I start to think, like, I do remember, I want to say, like, a plasma movement in between it, obviously, but, like, the thing that got me the thing that tripped me out the most, I think, was that I can see the night sky through it.
Yeah. Well, that's unique too, because I'm like, that's so weird. So it's like it wasn't like it was translucent, or, you know, if it was some sort of craft using some sort of, like, camouflage, right? It was appearing translucent, but not well enough that, like, you could still see something was there. It kind of reminds me of people have called in with stories of, like, what's it called? The, like, Glimmer Man, where they see, like, we had one person from Victoria calling about it, and I've had a couple other people talk about it, where they see, like, it looks like kind of like Predator active camo. That's the best way to describe it, right? Where it's just like that that movement, but yours is kind of uniquely different work because it was emitting a light as well, and it was not in the shape of a person. It was the shape of an object.
It was like in the shape of like an oval, like a floppy oval.
Yeah.
But it was there, and yeah, it was like emitting like a very light blue, but not any blue that I can really describe. Like,
Yeah.
almost like a midnight suede like blue. You can barely see it, but it was definitely there. Like, I'm gonna say like protruding about like a foot away from whatever this like see-through gelatin was. But very like, yeah, like I said, there was no. Oh, you know what? Actually, as I'm telling you this, I'm remembering one more detail about this thing. You there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm listening.
Okay. You're like, yeah, I'm glued to my fucking seat, man.
Yeah. I'm. You've got me hook, line, and sinker, man.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the true stories that like that do like they'll just get you. You know what I mean? You're just like, well, I'm gonna listen because it's something about this seems legit. So, but anywho, so the one thing that I forgot to mention was that it at first I was like, it looked like a helicopter because of the size of the front body, right? It looked like the oval, right? So from afar. So I'm like, well, what the fuck are they doing at midnight? Like, but then again, we were like by 29 Palms, which is like pretty famous, like not right by it, but it's pretty famous for, you know, like military exercises and stuff.
Yeah.
But we weren't right next to 29 Palms. We were like quite a few miles away. So anywho, the first thought that came to my head was a helicopter, but I'm like, well, there's a very small orb-looking thing, like if it was attached to the end of it through like a like the body of the helicopter. You know how it'll be like oval, and then it'll be like the like little spine of the helicopter, and then it'll be like the back propeller.
Yeah.
So there was no fucking visible like spine. It was like there was like a little orb like attached to it, but with nothing there, right, and right behind it, and that's what made me think helicopter, right? It's got like the back it's something attached in the back lights, and then it's got the oval body, right? But like I said, yeah, when it passed right over me, I'm like, well, where's the fucking pole that holds the back of the
the tiny little one on the back there.
Yeah, like what, like so, and that light that was right next to this little next to this oval shaped thing, that little blue, like it looked like an orb, and there's no other way I can explain it. And I ignored it because again, it looked like a helicopter to me from afar. And so like now the details, I'm kind of remembering them now, and it's kind of scrambling my brain a little bit, but there was definitely something right next to it, like traveling in unison with it, but there was nothing holding these two objects together. So the first one was a lot bigger, larger, see-through, and the little orb right behind it was tiny, but it was there. And yeah, they were just moving slowly.
And when was this? Did you tell me like approximately? Do you know the year?
No, I haven't told you the year. I want to say it was either in 2020 or 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to help run a Mexican food restaurant off of the Colorado River on the California side. Right past the Colorado River, there's the dam, which then on the other side is Lake Havasu. But yeah, what was I getting to? For years, we were traveling that road. Just never at night. And then this one time that we decided to take my weird little Nissan Juke, fucking alien-looking front car with, you know,
oh yeah.
I had my fog lights on. Yeah, I had replaced like all my lights with like LEDs, and I'm like, I hope this is not the reason like why I saw something.
Yeah, they're just as interested in whatever the hell you're driving.
That's what I'm saying, man. I parked and I looked at it and I was like, this seems extraterrestrial as shit, but I could have just been like paranoid or something.
Well, the interesting thing too is like, because you mentioned the thought of being a helicopter at one point. because then, that also ties into your thought of like maybe a government vehicle, because maybe they were flying something at night, right? And then this thing was like, hey, there's another person on the road, and they're like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And they fly it over, you see it, and they just kind of follow you to see if they're like, if you spook, what happens. Maybe you caught a glimpse of something being tested out in the desert that night. Either way, it's a fascinating story that you got there. Like, it's wild.
Yeah. Thanks, man. It's burnt into my brain.
I bet.
So, yeah.
I love the
That's one-
unique descriptions. So I'm hoping is that someone somewhere will listen to that and they'll be like, I fucking saw that, the same kind of thing, and we can start getting some more calls about, like, with some more descriptors of something like that.
I've heard others on different podcasts that I really don't remember the names to. It could have even been this one, to be honest with you, but I've heard other people describe very similar things. And at that point, I should have called and responded to those stories. But, one thing or the other, nerves or like, it's not the right time, or like, I don't got the details. I'm not going to call. I'm going to sound like an idiot. But I don't know. Right now, I was like in bed and I was like watching the live stream, and I'm like, oh, fuck, man. Like, if nobody calls it an interesting story, I'm just going to call it this one.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad you did. Hopefully,
I have more. So next time I see you guys online or live, I'll give another call.
Yeah, the show normally is Thursday 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so that's your time. I'm slowly going to interject more Sundays as soon as some of those UK bastards start waking up and calling in with their stories. Then I'll start doing more Sundays. Thank you so much for calling in.
Not a problem, man. Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Take care of yourself.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
You as well, sir. Bye.
Whew. Weird blue see-through plasma. Oh, love it. Wild. Just like that, the lines are open. 1-833-703-0424. I'm going to go to one. I said I'd open it for an hour. That's all I'm going to do. I'll do one more story read because I said I was going to play Agent Anderson's again. So if you want to read a story for Cosmic Channels, you got a podcast, you got a story you want to promote, you want to do something, you want to jump on a story read, you can be like Agent Anderson and plug his show. So here he is, and if I don't get a call, I'll come on and say goodbye. But here is Agent Anderson.
Hello, everybody. This is Agent Anderson from the All Things Strange podcast, here to read for you a Cosmic Channels story from listener Logan Baker. My name is Logan Baker, and I live in the small town of Carlisle, Ohio, which is about 30 minutes south of Dayton. My girlfriend, our 1-year-old daughter, and I were staying in a 2-bedroom townhouse in the middle of town. Nothing strange had ever happened there until one night, this past February of 2019. I sleep extremely heavy, and I always sleep until my alarm wakes me up. On this particular night, I was sleeping in my bed with my daughter wedged between myself and my girlfriend. Out of nowhere, I snapped out of my sleep into a sitting position. My eyes shot straight to the open bedroom door. As I sat there, frightened and breathing heavily, I saw a figure as tall as my doorway just standing there. It was about 7 feet tall, extremely skinny, with long, lanky limbs and a fat head. I couldn't really make out any facial features, but I was only able to look at it for maybe 2 or 3 seconds before it dissolved into my door. It looked like it digitally faded into the same pale color as the door. This happened very quickly, and my startled awakening scared my daughter, and she started screaming loudly, and that snapped me back into reality. I wasn't into all of this alien stuff until the past few months, but the figure I saw was pretty consistent with the tall grays that I seem to hear about a lot. Since I've seen this creature, I've seen some other weird stuff, but none as up close as that. This experience is what makes me believe in the multidimensional theory of aliens, because I associate the weird dissolving of the creature with some sort of technology to allow them to quickly go in and out of our plane of existence. I've had some people try to explain this as a dream that just became too real for a couple of seconds, but I dream pretty often, and I've always been able to distinguish between what's real and what's not. This was a pretty weird experience, but I swear it's true, and it really freaked me out. This occurred at about 3 in the morning, and I didn't need to be at work until 5:30, but I just stayed awake because I couldn't go back to sleep. I hope you guys enjoyed the story and maybe come up with an explanation. Keep on theorizing, my dudes. Absolutely love your show. Well, thank you, Logan, for sending in your story. We really appreciate it. Crazy story. My personal evaluation? No. Nope. No, thank you. I think aliens need to stay up in the sky where they belong. All right, well, if you have a story and you are too yella to call in, you can always email that story to CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com. Although you should probably just call in because Braden's a nice guy. You'll have a fun conversation with him. But if you can't, if you're too yella, you got a funny schedule or something, just send it in, and you never know who's going to read it on the air. Could be me, could be one of the theorists, might even be Jesse Ventura. Can you guys get Jesse Ventura? That'd be awesome.
Just like that, the Cosmic Channels are coming to a close. We will see you Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Peace out, everybody. Oh, you know what I didn't realize? You're probably wondering why the chat and everything was ending. It's because like I said, I've been doing work in here as getting this together. So I've slowly been porting everything from this into Season 8 and reconnecting it so it's getting deleted on here live. And we'll see you all Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the 1 hour tester before we do Season 8. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.